In the past 2 weeks, I knitted my first ever pair of socks. I'm actually wearing them right now. I'll put in another picture of them here that is better than me just showing you my feet. Oh my gosh, I am obsessed with making socks. I'm already on my second pair of socks, and I figured I would take you along for the ride just as like a fun little knit with me, see how it goes. I'm also trying like a new thing, so I think it would be fun to kind of do this together. Here is a picture of the socks that I am making. This is the yarn that I'm using. All of this I'll link down in the description. But I've actually already started sock number 1. One thing that I didn't do with my first pair of socks is I didn't knit them together, like at the same time. I knit one sock, I finished it, I knit the other, I finished it. And one thing I noticed is when I was on the second sock, I was rushing through it because I just wanted to be done and I wanted to have the final product, and I was getting tired of it. And so the first sock was actually a lot better than the second sock, which is interesting because you think the second would be better because like I've already practiced it. But my motivation was just, I wanted it to be finished. I wanted to wear my pair of socks. I went ahead and bought like multiple sets of needles, and so I'm gonna try to like knit them at the same time, kind of go back and forth. There is a way you can knit 2 socks at the same time, like using one needle, but it looked kind of confusing. So I just decided to buy more needles instead. So right now I have the sock that I've already started is on, I think this is like a 32 inch, I think it's a size 1, I can't remember, I'll put it all down there below. But then I also have, and it seemed to disappear on me, where did you go? I found it. I have this 9-inch circular needles also in that size, oh wait, it says on here, yeah, size 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter. We got the 9-inch, and then we have the 32, I think this is 32 inches. For the long one, you have to use the magic loop method on. But for this, you just knit them in the round, which is super easy. And in my opinion, way more beginner friendly. The way I'm doing it, it's nice to have both. Like it's good to do the heel of the sock using this and the rest of it using this. So I'll explain this all more later as we get through it. So I'm gonna be casting on to these, and the pattern that I'm using is actually a free pattern, and I will link it down below for you to use. Now I'm using this, but I'm also kind of combining it with another pattern, I think mostly just for the heel. I don't know how this free pattern does the heel, but I'm gonna do the heel the same way that I did this pattern. And this pattern is the Vanilla Sock by the Crazy Sock Lady. And she has patterns on Etsy. You can buy the written pattern for like $3 or like $2 or something like really cheap. But then she also has YouTube videos of her patterns that are public. So I'll link the YouTube video below if you want to follow that, but I highly recommend buying the written pattern as well because 1, it supports a fiber artist, and 2, I think it's really helpful, especially if you're a beginner like I am, to learn how to read patterns and understand what they mean. So like by having like the written pattern, but then seeing how it works in the video, if that makes sense. So I'll be kind of referencing those 2 patterns as I go. This is not necessarily a tutorial on how to do socks, but more just like maybe some tips and tricks and things that I like, and I'll show you little bits and pieces. So if you want to make the socks how I'm making them, you can follow along and do that with everything that I'm providing. I'm so excited. Guys, I was so intimidated by socks at first, and they're literally so much fun. So if you are watching this and you have the I'm intimidated by sock opinion, you're gonna be convinced otherwise, hopefully. That is my goal, to convince you to make some socks. To get started, I'm gonna be doing the long tail cast on for this. So you need to make sure you have a long enough tail that's going to cover all the stitches you need to do. And I need to do 64 stitches on my cast on. All right, so at that spot that you have, then you'll do your slip knot. Beautiful. and then you're gonna put it on your needle. I find when I'm working with the 9-inch circulars that if my cast on is tight by any means, that it's really hard to get it started. So I want to have a loose cast on, but I want it to be consistent. So what I like to do is take my other needle that I have and kind of put them together, and then I'm gonna cast on them as double, so it'll go over both, and that's gonna give me a perfect loose but not too loose cast on, if that makes sense. So now be careful when you have these two needles together not to get any stitches in between them. You want to make sure they're both over top. Knitting tip, this will save your life. Like, please do this. This will do what I'm about to tell you. Every 10 stitches, put a stitch marker on, okay? If you're doing anything that's like over, I would say like 30 stitches, you need to use stitch markers. The first time I cast on socks, I did not do this, and I no joke had to recount it like 10 times, and I even had to start over a couple times because when I messed up, I'd like lost my count, and it was just like not good. So now I've just put these little stitch markers on, nothing crazy. So I got 10 here and bloop. So now I know this is 10. I'm going to come back when I have 64 on here. That's the size that I'm doing, which is like the middle size. So depending on what size, that's the number that you're going to be making. But you do want to make sure that no matter what, it is in increments of 4. So 64 is what I'm at for mine. All right, see you in a little bit. Here are my 64 stitches. A stitch marker after every 10 stitches, except for the last one, which is 14 stitches to get to that 4. And now we are ready to join in the round. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out this long needle because we do not need it anymore. And now we have nice, loose, comfortable stitches on our 9-inch. What you want to make sure is that this bottom part, this bottom edge, is all on the same size because you don't want it to be twisted. I'm going to take the working yarn, and it's going to be in my right hand, and then you're just going to knit like the first stitch. And now you kind of have to stretch it a little bit. The first round is the hardest because you're stretching the stitches, but then there'll be more to work with. So I'm going to stretch these stitches and knit the first stitch. Now, keep that working yarn tight, because if not, there's going to be like this weird gap. Knit the first stitch, but we're going to try to keep that working yarn like that pretty tight. And now you're in the round. Now we're going to do the ribbing. I'm doing a 2x2 ribbing, which means you go knit, knit, purl, purl, knit, knit, purl, purl, and I feel like I really like how that works. You can do a 1x1, you just go like knit, purl, knit, purl. So I'm going to do another knit because I already had the one. Try to keep things kind of tight the first couple stitches. So do a knit. Now we're going to do 2 purls. And this first round, like I said, is the trickiest. Now, whenever you get to a stitch marker, you can just let it fall off, but I am going to add a stitch marker to my beginning round. We're going to be using Mr. Flip Flop stitch marker today. Now you're just going to go all around. The first round is the hardest, so just try your best, be patient with it, take your time, and it'll be a lot smooth sailing from there. Good morning. It is almost 7 a.m. right now. I just wanted to tell you what I did last night. So I did the 7 rows of ribbing, and then I've started on the stockinette part. So we're gonna do, I think it's about 20 rows of pink stockinette, and then I'll switch on over to the green. And I haven't decided how long I want these socks to go. The original pattern is they have a decently long sock, and I think that looks good. But I'm just trying to weigh my options. So I'll keep you updated. Hey guys, I'm on break at work right now, so I just wanted to show you an update of my socks. I've been working a lot on both pairs, so let me grab them. Okay, so the first sock, this is the one that I started before I started filming, is currently this long. So we did all the pink and started on the green. This is like 20 rows of pink stockinette, and then we're on to the green. I'm not sure how many rows of green I'm gonna do quite yet. And then the second one is here. So we just started the green. So we did the 20 rows, started the green here. Here they are. Okay, so I've done about 20 rows of the green, and I'm gonna start on the heel now. So I'm gonna switch on over to these needles now. Okay, hey guys, I got my hair done, so feeling fabulous. But I wanted to take a second and show you my progress. I've been working on the heels of the sock now, and this is how I do it. Or I guess the heel flap is technically the part I'm on. And I thought it'd be fun to do it striped. So it's striped with the green and the pink. And how you do the heel flap is super easy. I just want to show you a row. So I'm using the pink yarn right now. So you basically just go slip knit, slip knit, slip knit. So let me see if I can try to set this camera up so you can see it a little better. So you're going to slip the stitch purlwise. So it's like you're purling, but instead of purling, you just slip it off and then you knit. And then you just repeat that. Slip, knit, slip, knit, slip, knit, slip, and we're going to do that all the way to the end of the row. And then for the back of it, because right now we're just working on the back of the sock, we're leaving these stitches here. So we've just been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You are going to slip the first stitch, and then you're going to purl every stitch after that. All right, that is my update for now. We're just going to keep on knitting away with these two guys. And yeah, I'll update you when I need to. I don't know. Okay, my hair. Can't stop touching it. Love. All right, so it is time to do the heel on one of the socks. And this is probably, or I guess the heel turn. This is the heel flap, so we're gonna do the heel turn. This is probably my favorite part of the whole process because I swear it looks like magic. You just do these steps and then all of a sudden it's like, there's a heel sticking out at you. I'm not gonna explain every single row on this because you can just look on the pattern exactly for the stitches. But basically what you're doing on the heel flap is you're gonna go to the middle of it and then kind of work back and forth and keep on adding and adding and adding and adding, and it creates that point. So I'll kind of show you as we go through it what that looks like, but it is seriously so cool. Like, such a fun part of the sock. So let's get started. So you can kind of start seeing, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but the heel is starting to stick out a little bit. So basically you have the middle section and you have these two gaps. So you're kind of knitting to each of the gaps and then either knitting two together or like purling two together, and then you kind of turn your work. So you like work part, grab an extra one, turn it, and then grab an extra. It's kind of hard to explain, but just kind of do what the pattern says. It's like a little puzzle. But then you get a sock after it instead of a finished puzzle. It doesn't make any sense. Alright, here is the finished heel. So it sticks out. The pink is the stuff that I just did. Sticks out nicely like that. So when you're wearing it, it's like here, and then your foot's coming out this way. Next, what I'm going to do is you're going to pick up the gusset stitches. So the gusset stitches are the stitches that kind of come from the side here. Put a stitch marker in the middle, knit that way, and then you're going to go and you're going to pick up stitches along the side here. So I'll pick up, I believe, 16 stitches because that's how many rows I have. And then you'll knit around this way, and then you'll pick up the stitches here, and then you're going to be just decreasing the stitches every other round, kind of going around and around and around and around. Let's do it. Okay, so here's a little hack for the gusset part. Sometimes I find it hard to pull the string in or the thread in just using my needle. So I like to get a small crochet hook. This is a size 2. And then I'll just insert that in first and then pull the yarn up and then pull it over my needle. And it's just so much less tedious doing it that way. Hey guys, it's been a little bit since I've given you an update on both of the socks. I finished both the heels on both the socks, and I finished all the gusset stitches on both the socks. So this is sock number 1. The heel is here. This is the cuff, so really it would be like this. Now I'm working on the foot part here. And then sock number 2 is actually a little bit further along than I thought it was. Is here. So here they are next to each other. So now all that I have left to do is the foot and then the toe, and then the sock will be finished, but then I'm gonna have to go back and do duplicate stitch to create the little froggy face. I did want to point out something just to show you that no one is perfect. I do have a pretty large hole in this sock. So there's this one part where you pick up an extra stitch, and it's actually supposed to make make the hole smaller. But I picked up the stitch the wrong way. Like, you're supposed to do it through the back loop, and I somehow messed that up. So I do have like a decently large hole right here. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to sew that up after, because there's no way I'm going back to fix that at this point. But other than that, I feel like they're going really well. I feel like this is knitting up pretty quickly. I have been really busy recently, so I haven't had too much time to work on it. But I just try to do it when I can. So yeah, that is the update for right now. I love them. Alright, time for me to go to bed. Good night. Good morning. I'm getting ready to leave for work, but I just wanted to give you an update on the socks because I think I'm actually going to be able to get a lot done during work today, because so I'm a teacher, and today is one of the days where we're watching a movie. We don't watch movies often, but when we do, I always like to bring my knitting, because if I don't have any other work to do, then I'll knit while I watch with the students. Now, sometimes this doesn't work out, like if I have things to grade and other stuff, but I think I'm all caught up, so I'm pretty sure I'll be able to knit like majority of the time. Here is one sock is like this much, And then I've been working on this one, and that one's a little bit further. And that is here. So we'll see how much I can get done on both of them today. Yeah, my goal within the next couple days is to finish the sock, and then I'll get on to sewing up holes and then doing the embroidery of the face. So very excited, but this is where I'm at right now. Let's see how much I can get done today. All right, the first class is over, and my classes are 90 minutes long because we go on a block schedule. And so here's the one sock that was shorter last night, or I guess this morning. And I got a decent amount of done. So here it is, like compared to the other one. I guess I kind of caught it up to this one. The next class I teach, I won't be able to knit because it's more of a hands-on class and we're not watching a movie in that one. But the class after that one, we're watching a movie. So I'll have one more good, probably by the time we get everything set up, like a good hour session of knitting to get some stuff done today. All right, now I'm on my planning, so I gotta go do some work. Bye. Alright, so I finished the foot part on both the socks, and actually on my first sock I went ahead and did the toe. So the toe is all done. I just need to cast off these stitches right here, which I will do in a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and start the toe on this sock. And I wanted to show you how I do that. So what I'm gonna do, and don't know if I'm actually gonna film this, but I'm gonna flip these socks onto some longer needles. So I'm just gonna knit a row onto the longer needles. And then we're gonna be flipping colors to here. And how you do the toe is super, super simple. So every other row, you're gonna decrease on both sides. And you're gonna alternate that. So you're gonna do a row of decreases and then a row of just plain knitting until you have half this number of stitches on your needle. So for the pattern I'm doing, that means I'm gonna have 16 stitches on each needle. Once you reach the 16 stitch or the halfway mark, then you're going to decrease every round in that same pattern until you get to 8 stitches. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's just the way I'm doing it. That's the way that the crazy, I'm in my classroom and the lights just turned off. That's the way I'm doing it based on the crazy sock lady pattern. I can't remember if the froggy pattern is that same way, but I'm assuming it's fairly similar. And then you're gonna cast it off using a Kitchener stitch, but I'm probably gonna do that at home because that's something that I need to focus on. So I think for today, because I've got rehearsal after school and I'm just kind of actively watching, I'm not directing right now. I'm gonna be working on this and just do the toe part. So yeah. Alright, so I have finished knitting both of the socks. Here they are. And I went ahead and I have weaved in all of the loose ends. Okay, so they're good to go, looking great. Closed up some holes, tried them on, they fit perfect. I'm really happy with how they turned out. And I've already started to work on the duplicate stitch of the face. You can see one of the eyes starting to come up here. It takes a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. So I'm gonna try to get a lot of this done today. I printed out the pattern on paper because I figured that would be easier. So here is what I'm doing in all the places that have the little circles, that's what the duplicate stitch is. So I don't have any black thread that matches the same thread that I have, but I'm hoping that embroidery floss will be thick enough to use. So that's my plan, just to do it with embroidery floss, because I don't want to have to buy like a whole skein of yarn just to use for a couple stitches. Yeah, so working on the first eye right here. I'm going to try to get as much of it done today as I can, at least on this sock, and maybe get going starting on the second. We're getting close to the end. Real quickly, before I put on a show and do this, I wanted to show you how to do the duplicate stitch. You want to follow this chart where, for placement of it, put some of the yarn on your needle, and I'm just using like a darning needle. If you look at knit stitches, you can see there's a bunch of V's. Okay, so you want to place your needle at the point of a V from the back side. So I'm going to be doing one next to this stitch right here, and hopefully my camera doesn't get too blurry. So I'm going to go into the bottom of the V, like right there, and pull it through. And you want to make sure your tension's not too tight. We're in the bottom part right now, and then you're going to go one stitch above to this one right here and go through both of the stitches at the top one and pull that through. Careful with your tension. And then you're going to go back in to that bottom of the V on your original stitch. And then kind of tug on it a little bit, pull it through, and that's your duplicate stitch. It's 1 p.m. right now. Let's see what we can do. Guys, you are not ready. I finished the face on the first sock. And this is literally the cutest thing I've ever made. Oh my gosh. Are you ready? You're not ready. You're not. I'm not ready. Look at it. This is so cute. Oh my gosh. It's almost 3, so this took me like 2 hours, but there were some mess ups in there. This is amazing. Everyone needs to make this. Please go make this. I'm happy to say, after, I figure out how many days this has been, me working on them. I'm happy to say that about a little less than 3 weeks later, I have finally finished my socks. I am so happy with them. So here are the cutest socks that I've ever made. I love them. I love how they turned out. They're super comfy. If I was to change anything, I would make there be more green before I went to the heel, because they fall a little low. The face falls a little low on my ankle, and I wish it was a little bit higher, but it's not a deal breaker by any means. I still think they are just absolutely adorable. And this was such a fun project, and I loved knitting the socks 2 at a time. That was definitely a great idea. So if you're someone who struggles with the second sock syndrome, then definitely buy a second pair of needles or learn how to do 2 on 1 needle, which I know is possible. I just haven't got there yet, but yeah, I can't wait to wear these out on the town. And yeah, oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for watching. I am hoping to get back into the habit of making more videos. I have kind of took like a 2-month break, and obviously now there's this one, but I do want to get back more into it. So please let me know what you want to see. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!